And they say it's the white man I severe, but it's my open for every.
All right. Another day at the office. What is this, number 3? Battle for the Olympia, number 3. Number 3 sounds like my magic number. So let's go on inside and get busy with it. All right, today we're gonna do a little bit of shoulders. And like I said earlier, this is the Battle for the Olympia 98. The third one of its kind. And of course, this is my 10th Mr. Olympia. And once again, it's on. A lot of people say I sound like a broken record when I start talking about the Mr. Olympia, but of course I feel like I'm gonna be at my all-time best once again. Hopefully this time my best will be good enough. It's the first time I'm doing the Mr. Olympia in 10 years that we don't have a defending champion coming back to compete, which a lot of people think we should all, as athletes and competitors, be excited about. I mean, it doesn't really excite me to know the champion's not going to be there, with the exception of knowing that someone new will be the champion, rather than the same 1 or 2 guys over the past 14 years. So, if nothing else, no matter what happens, there'll be a new Mr. Olympia this year in 1998. I expect to be that guy. As we get ready for this one, it's going to be a fight. I expect the main players to be there. I expect Flex Wheeler to be at his all-time best. He was second in 1993. You know, Nasser was second in 97, so he'll be there. And of course, Kevin Levroni's got 2 second-place finishes, 92 and 95. And so do I, 1994 and 96. So this contest is open this year. It's actually more exciting for the sport. It's like, you know, something big is about to happen and I'm gonna be a part of it. So I'm excited and I'm motivated and energized all at the same time. And I can talk a little bit more about that once I get this shoulder workout out of the way. I'm exactly 1.5 weeks away from the Mr. Olympia. I've got about 5 workouts left. And from there on, it's all posing and a little bit more dieting and getting on a plane and flying over to the Big Apple. So I'm just as excited about this one as all the rest of my enemies. That's my competitors. All right, let's put some weight on the bar. Preparing for this year's Mr. Olympia is a little bit different from a strategical standpoint for me. I've always said the Olympia's represented the Super Bowl, Wimbledon, the finals of the NBA series. This is the biggest one of all, and I've always said I compete for the crown, for the glory, and the money comes later. I mean, it's nice to be compensated for some hard work, but this whole year, here's where my mindset's been. And I'm not just a bodybuilder, I'm an athlete, so I follow all athletic sports. I watched Pete Sampras win his 5th Wimbledon. I watched Lindsay Davenport knock off Martina Hingis, the #1 player in the world for the US Open. I watched the Chicago Bulls win their 6 NBA championships. I watched Mark McGuire hit his 70th home run, breaking the all-time record by Roger Maris in '61. I watched the Florida Marlins go on and win the World Series. I paid close attention to Jeff Gordon in the NASCAR racing series. Just an indomitable force, somebody that everyone would love to beat. I watched Flex Wheeler win the Arnold Classic. And the one thing I noticed about all of those different athletes in those different sports, that stuff motivates me. And when I watch those other athletes achieving that kind of glory, not putting a dollar sign on it, but looking at the achievement, the preparation, the mental toughness, and they're all so different, and yet they all have the one common thread going through them. And that's the one that runs through me as well, as dedication, commitment to excellence, and trying to be the best, the #1 at what they do. All those people are #1 in the world at what they do. And this year we don't have a #1 bodybuilder in the world. And after 10 years of training, competing in the Mr. Olympia, starting off winning the Teenage California in 1984, the year I graduated high school, to the Teenage Mr. America in 1985, to the Junior World Championships in '85 in Australia, to winning the Mr. California in '87 and the National Championships overall in 1987. My first pro victory at the Pro Ironman in 1990, the Arnold Classic in '90 and '91. I remember all of those things, but they don't define who I am. What defines who I am is success of other athletes in other fields. And so the Muhammad Ali's and the Oscar De La Hoyas and the Michael Jordans and the Pete Samprases and the Lindsay Davenports and the Monica Sellases and the Martina Hingises and the Mark McGuires, Tiger Woods. I can go on and on and on about the best of the best. And when I'm finished, I want my legacy to be that I was the best at what I did. So this contest represents that to me more than anything. I still remember Larry Scott, Franco Colombo, Sergio Oliva, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane, Samir Banu, Lee Haney, Chris Dickerson, Dorian Yates. Those are all Mr. Olympias. I rattled them off the top of my head because I studied the sport of bodybuilding. I learned from it. I'm a historian of it. I study all kinds of sports. And at 33 years old, I can't do it forever. And for me, the fun of it's the journey. And this is the part that most of the bodybuilders can't handle. The journey, the dieting, the training, the 2 and 3 hours a day, the different workout partners and different gyms and traveling and the expectations and the stress of bodybuilding, the relationships that come and go. I welcome that. That's the journey. And when I look back after it all and I have that Sandow trophy, those are the things I'll remember. And hopefully come October the 10th, I'll be able to walk out that stage a champion, win, lose, or draw. This was one year that I can look back and say, you know what, I did my best. And if my best wasn't good enough, the judges will let us know. But once again, like Nasser said, it's a matter of opinion, 9 people's opinion in the end. But my physique and my progress reflects nothing but dedication and commitment. And if I do nothing else in this sport of bodybuilding and never win the Mr. Olympia, I hope that a couple of adjectives describe me, and that is a motivator, somebody that's inspiring, somebody that's focused and had dedication. And if there's one person that can walk away from my career and accomplish half of what I've done, then I think I've been a good role model and set a good example. And I think when you look at the Mr. Olympia contest, you can see that bodybuilding is me, and I take the good, the bad, and the ugly, the judges, the failed drug test, the lack of prize money, the lack of recognition in terms of outside the sport. Comes with the territory. I chose bodybuilding, it didn't choose me. And at 5'7", 215 pounds, I've been competing against giants all my career, but I brought shape, I brought definition, I brought presentation, and I brought class, and I brought a good example to the sport of bodybuilding. And hopefully from here we'll go on to the next level and try to get some crossover representation from Coca-Cola, Nike, Reebok, some TV exposure, something that bodybuilding's long needed, and something that I've always been trying to attain for a personal benefit, but also for the benefit of all of bodybuilding and you, the viewer. So we'll see you in New York. Now we come to the portion in our workout where it took us about maybe 25 minutes to do shoulders. 4 exercises, 4 sets apiece, 12 to 15 reps. And if you're paying close attention, you'll notice there was no talking. We're strictly business here. And it was much more of a pumping, feeling, get the blood in the system type of a workout. The bodybuilding portion's already taken its place, and that was for the past 5-6 months. So now we are at the point where with a week and a half to go from the show, I weighed 220 pounds yesterday morning, which is almost 8 full pounds heavier than where I was at this time last year. Quite the contrary to what Nasser El Sanbadi said in a recent issue of Flex magazine, that I go in the gym to train to look the same way every year. What he probably didn't recognize is I've been in the top 4 since 1992, and I've been in the top 5 in the world for the past 9 straight consecutive years. I think this might be his 4th Mr. Olympia, so before he starts analyzing what I'm doing in the gym, he better make sure he did his homework. Come October 10th, I'll remind him what it is I do in the gym. So let's take a look real quick. Relax, face forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Quarter turn to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Quarter turn. Back, right back. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8. This is light routine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Spread. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Squeeze, blow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Push. There you go. Right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What about that? Open, right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Squeeze. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Squeeze. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. Good. Next week.